Well, howdy, all you car collector fans out there. This is Jason, the owner and founder of Southern Bush Motorsports. Well, it's a bit of an interesting thing. Not really a tales from the bush, but I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I knew about a place in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, not too far away, and it was called the Oshawa Auto Car Museum, I believe it was. And this guy had basically collected all these cars over his life. I know these pictures are really crappy. There wasn't anything I could do about it. The lighting was horrible. My flash wasn't really picking anything up. But he had stuck all these vintage cars that he had collected. And it turned out, I'm not even going to try to identify what these cars are. Couldn't tell you for the life of me. But I hope you enjoyed looking at these cars. So when I talked to the girl in the front there, I told her, who I was, and obviously didn't ring bell to her because she was young. Asked her if the owner of the auto museum was available to talk to, and she goes, "Yeah, his phone number's right here." So when I called him and I told him who I was, he's like, "Good God, I can't believe I'm talking to you." We started talking about a few things, and it turned out he was an incredibly good friend of my uncle. And he told me, he goes, forget all this formal stuff. I've got about 200 cars, old antique cars, out in the field. I need to get rid of them. I need to dump them. And they're not part of the museum, but I just collected them over the years. So I walked outside of his little museum there in downtown Oshawa. Craziest part is you would never even know this place was here. You're literally talking about a small town. Oshawa is a very small town. Oshawa is where, that's my little girl, Angelina. Oshawa is where the GM plant, Oshawa GM plant. That's where a lot of these rare General Motors cars came from. A lot of them. My mother worked at the Oshawa General Motors plant. She was the first woman in history to work on the assembly line in General Motors. She was a single mom with 4 kids. She got a job there doing, pissant jobs. But she saw that the men working on the assembly line were making 10 times what she was. And she wanted to work on the assembly line to make more money. And back in that day, they were like, "You're a woman. You can't work on the assembly line. You're going to get hurt." So she sued General Motors. And they said, fine, relax. We'll put you on the assembly line. Well, I think it was the first or second day my mother was on the assembly line. She was on the frame department where the frames come down, they get put into place, and then the cars get built. She slipped and fell and cracked her back. So, but the guys were all good about it. It turns out there's a plaque in the General Motors assembly plant lunchroom. It's got an old tea kettle that she had that everybody kicked and signed their names to. And she was listed as the first woman in General Motors history to ever to be allowed to be worked on the assembly line. So, that's kind of a special thing to me. But, this guy knew who my mom was, knew who my uncle was. He invited me out to his property, and, I didn't go because it's like, I don't know what I'm looking at with all these old cars like 1931, 1932. My knowledge wasn't that vast, and I didn't know what I would be looking at, so I passed on it. So needless to say, I passed up on it. But what the craziest thing about this museum is, I don't know how this guy even got these cars in here. This was 3 levels, really clean, neat looking place. This was an old horse and carriage building back in the day. And he had took it over, cleaned it up, fixed it up. That was the original photo right there. But he had these cars stuffed everywhere in this museum. He literally had motorcycles, horse and carriage buggies, old cars and stuff. But it was like, I didn't really know what I was looking at. I know there was some descriptions there. But I'll be the first person to tell you, I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. But it was really cool to see all these old cars. A lot of them were untouched cars. Some of them were restored cars. This is how he had it set out there. It's wood antique floor there, and it was really cool to walk around this place because most people will never get a chance to experience this. I mean, like, that car's got to be like one of the first cars ever made. I don't even know what that is, but some people out there are going to be looking at these cars and know exactly what they are, and I'd love to hear your comments because I know that right there is one of those amphibious cars. But yeah, this guy had some pretty rare stuff, and his family dated back to owning that building when it was a horse and carriage building. Look at an old motorcycle right there. Good God, some of this stuff was so old. That's that amphibious car. Imagine what it'd be like getting in that car and actually going from driving on the road to driving into the ocean, which is what these cars were capable of doing. You know, I ran some, re-ran some of the pictures because I really didn't get a lot of pictures because I didn't plan on obviously doing a Tales from the Bush because this was just a kind of an outing with my kid, and we decided to go out and to do this, and that looks like an old fire truck or something like that. Good God. Even though my knowledge was really limited. Oh, that's an old fire truck. Even though my knowledge was limited on what I was looking at, good God, this stuff was so cool. Even the smell of the place was like super old. That's like an old Duesenberg or something like that. But there was the motorcycles there, cars, weird stuff like pianos and stuff like that. Like, honest to God, he did a really good job on setting up this museum. That looks like an old race car or something like that. But he did a really good job setting up this museum, and he had pictures and antique stuff all over the place. And it was cool talking to him on the phone. Ended up, you know, we all knew each other. I'm gonna picture again of the same old car. Oh, what do we got here? It's like a Lambo or something like that. I remember that was out in the middle of it. And it was a real car. It's not a fake car. It's a real car. That was the same type of car that Bonnie and Clyde were shot in. That's not the Bonnie and Clyde car, but same kind of car, I think. I think that was an old Ford there. It was so cool to see all this stuff packed in there. And like, the thing you gotta understand is, I don't know how he got all this stuff in here. I really don't know how he got all this stuff in here. There was an old freight elevator that I was able to see, but it's like, you gotta remember, these old cars are made out of solid steel. So that's like, you know, I mean, you see this freight elevator, which, you know, it's pretty obvious when you walk into it, it's there. But it's like, even knowing that that's a freight elevator, these cars are too heavy to come up in that freight elevator. So the whole mystery of the Oshawa Auto Museum is, how the hell did all these cars get in there? Like, it's absolutely insane, like, how all these cars got in there. Especially these old antique cars that are in pristine condition. I mean, gosh, were these restored cars? I don't know. I don't know if they were restored cars or not, because it's like, who puts that kind of money into these old antique classic cars to restore them? Like, look at that thing right there. That's got to be like one of the first cars ever made. Like, if you ever happen to be in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada, go to the Oshawa Auto Museum and check this out, because it was mind-blowing. Honest to God, it was mind-blowing how he even got all these cars in there. Because you look at the fact, okay, that it's a commercial building. You look at the fact that he's got all of these cars in there. On a business point of view, like, that's a ton of weight inside of this building, 3 levels high, and all these cars are stuck inside this building. How is this place not even collapsed? Like, he had a couple places like this, like the car was just like, this is the way that he found the car, and he duplicated the exact replica of how he found the car. There's a wide shot of what it kind of looks like inside the museum. But, you know, if you ever happen to visiting Toronto, this is definitely a place to come check out. Once in a lifetime opportunity to go and see this place. There's cars everywhere. from all walks of life. You know, farm vehicles. Like, what is that? Like a sled? A Sea-Doo? Like one of the first skidoos, snow vehicles ever made? Like, it was just insane. That car right there, that looks like the thing off the Monsters. Like, good God, that's like 1910 or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm looking at, but I hope people have fun in the comments. Commenting on these cars because they know what they are. Because I certainly did not know what these cars were. There's that old motorcycle again. Look at the size of the motor on the thing. The whole bike looks like it's just motor. That'd be crazy driving that car. Well, I appreciate you coming by and checking out another Tales from the Bush, the Oshawa Auto Museum. If you ever get a chance, go check it out. It's a pretty cool looking place. And don't forget to stay tuned for more Tales from the Bush.